Good day, folks. It's Tony Fortunato from the technology firm. I'm doing a kind of an offshoot from the article I just wrote a while ago regarding Wireshark and/or packet capture efficiency. So in this case, I want to find out how well Wireshark, the GUI, not the command line stuff, how well does it capture packets? So in other words, when does it start to drop packets and at what point? Real simple layout. So I've got a laptop with Windows 7. That's what I'm going to use for my GUI. And then I've got the same laptop, this is kind of important, same laptop with Linux Mint. So I'm using the same card, same processor, literally the same physical laptop. This is not in a virtual machine in any way, shape, or form. So it has access to all the hardware, and it's the closest I can compare apples and apples. The only thing I did was I used a packet slice of 128 bytes. The reasoning behind that is quite obvious. If you don't have to capture the entire packet, then obviously things work more efficiently. So I just picked 128 as an arbitrary number, and that happens to be the Microsoft default slice for its packet monitor utility as well. So what do we got here? We got ourselves an OptiView XG as our traffic generator with a wire, piece of copper, going to this laptop. No switches, no taps, no hubs, no nothing. It's literally a cable between the two devices. I want to get rid of as many possible variables as possible. Guess what? That cable is only about 6 feet long. So it's not even a long run. So what am I going to play with? Packet sizes and bandwidth. And the theory is real simple. The smaller the packet, more of them can fit on the wire within a second. It's like putting out a fire. You can put out a fire with a big old bucket or with a little tiny thimble. So tiny thimble, many, 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 and bucket, fewer, fewer, fewer. And that's the point. So that's what the table is going to show us. So our first results, 10% utilization. I didn't want to go crazy here, folks. So 10% load on the network, which is quite typical. 64 byte packet. And you can see Windows with the Wireshark GUI actually captured all the packets. 100 out of 100. The really crazy part about this, I did not expect this. On the Linux side, Wireshark only captured 98 out of 100. Now, it's not the end of the world, but still, I did not expect Windows to outperform Linux on a 10% utilization. And again, this was 64 byte packets. Now, realistically, in the real world, most packets will average more like 256 to 512. At that range, they're both 100. So I'm going to say they came out kind of even. If we jack up our utilization to 30%, you'll see that, again, the 64 byte packet, because again, there's many of them, right? Many more than the bigger ones. We've got, out of 100, only 42 for the Windows, 88 for the Linux. So like twice as much. So Linux outperformed Windows at 30% utilization. That's what I expected, right? I expected Linux, less overhead, no NP cap to deal with, all that kind of stuff comes into play, and it should have outperformed Windows in my head. And it did. When you go up to 128 byte packets, we've got 90 out of 100 for Windows and 100 out of 100 for Linux. Again, Linux won that race, and the rest of them are all 100 out of 100. But again, if you had 30% load and your average packet size was, for example, 512, they would both be 100 out of 100 anyway, so you'd be good. So now let's go up to 50%. And I kind of stopped here because after this, it just doesn't make sense to keep going. So 50%, if you did have a network busier than 50%, that was 1 gig, you would not be using your laptop, right? You'd be using more of a specific purpose tool, like a proper packet capture tool of some kind, and you would be getting your packets that way. You wouldn't be using your laptop. So 64 byte packet, 50%. We've got 13 out of 100 for Windows and 52 out of 100 with Linux. Now they both dropped it, but Linux kind of outperformed Windows. And if we pick that imaginary 256, 512 range, we've got 69 out of 100 for Windows, and we've got 100 out of 100 for Linux. Again, it outperformed it. 512, they're both 100 out of 100, and so on. So the moral of the story is to make sure that you know how your tools behave. Know your tools. Don't just go plug them in, and just because you got a gig card, you can capture gig. That's not how it works. I would strongly encourage you to have some kind of traffic generator of some kind, generate various loads, various packet sizes, and then find out when your tool drops packets. That's it, folks. Have a good day. Bye for now.